seems to have become reconciled to being there and to become a much more prominent court intellectual rather than the much more sort of figure in the background that he is with Mahmoud.
So this later work, which is considered as a very important work too, this Canon for Masood, James Montgomery, can you, it says here, as it were, that it's a rewriting of Ptolemy. Right, can you help us on that?
Well, the most important work of astronomy in the classical period, both late Greek antiquity and Islamic culture, is the Almagest of Ptolemy. It's basically a set of mathematical accounts for planetary motion. And El-Biruni sets out to provide the new ruler with a comprehensive guide to the structure of the universe, the movement of the planets, together with a number of his own observations. Some historians of mathematics, for example, have seen in one or two of Al-Biruni's calculations anticipations of functional relationships. But effectively, I think what this is a sense that the Almagest has reached the limit of its applicability. El-Biruni wants to rewrite the astronomical rule book. The Parnon is in fact a set of rules. And what's really unusual is that although he provides a lot of astronomical tables, these zijas, which Amira mentioned, he actually shows the parameters whereby he came to the calculations, so that you can then use all of his findings in order to compute the position of the planets for yourself.
There's an indication there, Hugh Kennedy, that he was in many ways anticipating things that happened much later in the West. Is that something that you can bring to bear?
Yes, he certainly does anticipate things that happen, but it's not clear. His legacy is in the Muslim world is very small. There's no direct connection, as it were. There is one significant manuscript of his India book. We get it by a very thin thread. It survived. There are one or two references to it. It appears again in the Ottoman period and has been taken up by, well, it was taken up by 19th century European intellectuals, and particularly the British, who were of course extremely interested at that stage in Indian culture and Indian history, and that's high-profiled it. And in the 20th century by Muslims, particularly in Iran, because he's considered to be an Iranian, looking for intellectuals who they can, as it were, put up on the world stage. But his overall, nobody seems to have read his book very much. Nobody followed on his work, really. Nobody built on his discussion of India, for example, and took the research any further. It's a bit of a shooting star.
Amira, having started, can we learn anything much of significance about his character from his writings about him? You know, it was obviously a very keen question. I mean, to take on Avicenna and fox him was quite something.
I mean, he's clearly a very brilliant and very flexible mind. I mean, as has been said many times today, he was very obsessed with lists. He is a list maker par excellence. You know, he's very interested in these issues of time. He's more interested in applied than theoretical science. He's got a very inquiring mind. Obviously, the fact that he wanted to sit down with Indians, whether in India or Ghazna, and find out everything he could from them. He's very inquisitive, and he mentioned his interest in the natural world was enormous. You know, he did write on about minerals. He wrote a book on pharmacy, which we haven't mentioned yet. And he, in that book, which was a typical pharmacological work, you know, he lists all the different herbs and plants you can use, and gave their names in 5 different languages, which is a remarkable achievement. And I think in total about 20 different dialects and languages are actually employed in the work. So he was a hugely intelligent man. But in terms of character, we don't get much sense of the real man. We don't know about his personal life or anything like that.
Finally, James, briefly, I'm sorry to say, can you give us just one example, 2 examples, of this anticipatory faculty he had, of being way ahead of the game?
Well, I think I sort of alluded to some of them. The first is possible potential anticipation of the elliptical movement of the planets. In terms of pharmacology, there were 1 or 2 substances that he seems to have used derived from local herbs and so on. He was a man who was at the cutting edge of his science.
Well, the story will go on, I'm sure, I hope. Anyway, thank you very much. That was terrific. Amira Bennison, Hugh Kennedy, James Montgomery. Next week, we'll be talking about the Neanderthals. Thanks for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed this Radio 4 podcast. You can find hundreds of other programmes about history, science and philosophy at bbc.co.uk/Radio 4.
Welcome to Just a Minute. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the Minute Waltz fades away, once more it is my extreme pleasure to welcome our many listeners, not only in this country, in the United Kingdom, but also throughout the world, and also to welcome the 4 talented, skillful, witty, humorous individuals who this week are going to play Just a Minute. And we welcome back 4 who played it with tremendous skill in the past, and that is Paul Merton, Graham Norton, Greg Proops and Clement Freud. Would you please welcome all 4 of them? And as usual, I'm going to ask them to speak on a subject I give them, and they will try and do that if they can without hesitation, repetition, or deviating from the subject. Beside me sits Janice Staplehurst, who's going to help me keep the score, and she will blow a whistle when the 60 seconds are up. And this particular edition of Just a Minute is coming from a Pleasance in Edinburgh. As we begin the show with Clement Freud. Clement, the subject in front of me is Whiz Kids. Tell us something about Whiz Kids in just a minute if you can, starting now.
Hamish and Ophelia Whiz of Ashby-la-Zouch have a numerous family, and the kids are called Adam, Bernard, Charles, David, Eric, Ferdinand, Frank, George, twins, Harry, Isaac, James, Kenneth, Leonard, Martin.
Paul Merton has challenged you. Hesitation. He was getting a bit slow with them, and I think we have to interpret that as hesitation. So you did jolly well with that list, because it's not easy actually. But Paul Merton has a correct challenge, so he has a point for that. He takes over the subject, and there are 37 seconds available. Whiz Kids starting now.
William Hague recently claimed he drank 18 pints of beer a day while delivering.
Clement Freud challenge.
Deviation.
What?
He claimed he drank 14 pints of beer.
After 10, he couldn't remember how many.
Well, according to the newspaper report I read, yes, it was 14 pints of beer. So Clement, you cleverly got back in with a correct challenge. A point to you. Well, it's a correct challenge. That's the rules of Just a Minute. 32 seconds. Whiz Kids with you, Clement, starting now.
Ariadne, Atlanta, Beatrice, Charlotte, Desiree, Erica.
Graham Norton challenge.
Now, is this, and I'm just clutching at straws, is this a sort of deviation? Because it's not established this time that it's the Whiz Kids.
It's a sort of deviation, but...
I'm probably wrong, just asking.
I think they have a right to be named. They have a right to be named.
And I think it's a difficult decision. And we have a right to be entertained. A bonus point for Greg.
How many kids have they got?
Right, great Brooks. The audience enjoyed your introduction so much. I'm going to give you a bonus point for that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, there we are.
That'll be my point for the day.
And so you take over the subject of Whiz Kids, Graham, with a point, of course. 25 seconds starting now.
Whiz?
And Clement has challenged.
He hesitated.
No, he didn't.
And we've only just begun, ladies and gentlemen.
Clement shows his generous. The next minute he shows the other side and says hesitate. No, it wasn't hesitation. Graham, you have another point. You have Whiz Kids. You have 24 seconds starting now.
Whiz Kids are the sort of young people who have more A-levels than friends. Oh, yes, they can reboot an entire room full of computers, but they don't know the difference between sweet or dry cider. True, Whiz Kids make a lot of money, and they do keep the corduroy industry afloat. But are they really happy in themselves?
Whoever is speaking as the whistle is blown gains an extra point. On this occasion it was Graham Norton, so he's taken a commanding lead at the end of the first round. He has 3 points, and the other 3 each have 1 point. So, putting on him interesting points. Grapefruits, will you take the next round? The subject here is the hair of the dog. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
I'm reminded of a joke by the late singer and famous drunk Dean Martin, who said, "I feel sorry for people who don't drink, because that's as good as they're going to feel all day long."
The hair of the Paul Martin challenge.
Slight hesitation.
There was more than a slight.
I'm sorry, I was breathing.
Yes.
Are we allowed?
You have to take quick, short breaths.
Yes,
in
you're
just a
right.
minute.
Sorry about being a mammal.
Yes.
It's not good enough.
Paul Martin, the correct challenge. You have the subject. You have 47 seconds. The hair of the dog, starting now.
I remember a joke on Rowan and Martin's Laughing. They used to have this ticker tape stuff going across the back of the screen, and it said one day, "Go home, Dean Martin, your swimming pool is on fire." And I thought at the time that was a particularly amusing... It's gone down well, isn't it? And I can see that there are many people here tonight who are experiencing the hair of the dog, because Edinburgh as a festival does relish the alcohol. The pubs stay open, unlike down in the uncivilised south where they close 10:30 on a Sunday. Here you can drink from May to December any time you like, and it doesn't matter. That's why the highest alcoholic ratio per head is here in Scotland rather than down in Tunbridge Wells.
Right challenge.
Repetition of here.
Yes, you did.
They're not enjoying the game element very much, are they? They like the talking, not the game.
Yeah, the game is what it's all about, and he did. In fact, he repeated it twice, so Clement did actually wait. So it is a correct challenge, Clement. Within the rules of just a minute, I give it to you. You have a point. You have 12 seconds. You have the hair of the dog, starting now.
The saying is, the hair of the dog who bites you is quite unlike the hair of the dog that you take on the sidewalk to go to McDonald's and eat.
Paul Merton challenge.
I don't think that is the saying. That's not how the saying goes. That's just something Clement's made up for his own fancy.
That's what
made it
sayings are.
But he's made it up. We can't dispute it, because within the rules of just a minute, he didn't hesitate, he didn't repeat any words, and I don't think he's actually deviated. There's 1 second. Clement Freud, incorrect challenge. A point to you. The hair of the dog, starting now.
Brown.
And Paul Merton challenge.
Hesitation.
Yes. You're keen or not keen enough? No. Half a second. The hair of the dog, Clement, starting now.
White.
Clement Freud was then speaking as the whistle went, gained that extra point. He's now equal in the lead with Paul Merton, and the other two are trailing a little behind. And Graham, your turn to begin. The subject is how to take a compliment. Tell us something about that in this game, starting now.
How to take a compliment is a mystery to me, for to my certain knowledge, I don't think I've ever received one. I arrive at parties, people open the door and go, "Oh, it's you."